Hi everyone, welcome to Coffee Talk. It's just the two of us. Kevin is away on holidays this week. So last time it was conference, now it's holidays.
Yep.
And we're excited for them to take some time off. It's sort of like, if you're kind of newer to Lakeview, I'm going to be on sabbatical for 2 months coming up real quick here. And so what that kind of means is that holiday time gets compressed, if you will.
Before and after.
And so if it seems like, hey, there's always a pastor, that's kind of just a logistical timing sort of thing so that our families get everything they need from us. And so that's where he is. So we can, be thinking of the Bessie family this week and praying for them that they would get rest and enjoy some family time. And we know that they're having a good week together. Look, we want to look back and discuss it. The sermon this week was on a passage we're probably really familiar with. We think about it
in a lot of ways,
at least once a month, right? We come around, we do communion. Jeff, what was something from the study of the passage that just kind of like was refreshing in sort of a new way? Because again, I think that's what happens with those overly familiar passages, right? We think we know it, we think we know it, and then we actually study it and go, oh. Yeah. So I don't know if you just want to kind of hit us with like the 40-second overview or something in particular that really jumped out.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much in this passage. And it was a longer passage, but the reason I wanted to have the whole thing included is because it's another one of Mark's just amazing literary styles where he brackets, puts on either side of the focus something that enhances that focus. And so one theme running throughout is just the divine foreknowledge and complete authority and control of Jesus. He knows exactly what's going to happen when they go into town to prepare, who they're going to see, what they're going to say. He knows who's going to betray him. He knows that it's going to happen. He knows who it is. He knows that all the disciples will deny him. He knows all of this. It's running through it. And the way he sets this meal up to commission it or give a different understanding of it around him is brilliant and amazing. He takes the bread and instead of what they're used to, blessing the Lord of heaven who provided, he says, "This is me," and then he takes the cup and this was really weird, really interesting because we usually say take this, drink this in remembrance of me, and then we drink it. They all drank, and then he said, "This is my blood." And it was that would have been
I'm just picturing someone go and just like spit it.
That's exactly what I thought. Like they're trying to get it out because blood was they were restricted from drinking. Blood, like eating blood, like drain the animal is throughout the Old Testament. So all of that was just fascinating to me, just to study it. And there's just the contrast between Jesus giving himself and the disciples and the betrayer, they are thinking about themselves, So all of that was kind of interesting to me. And the fact that Peter and the disciples, they said they would stand with Jesus to the end, and I think they would have if he would have been leading a rebellion. Because it's easy to go into battle with a sword and be like, until you die. But to die to yourself, like that's what Jesus was calling them to. No, Peter, you got to die to that pride. That pride that you think you're... So those are,
which,
I don't know.
In a way he did, right?
He eventually, he definitely did.
Ate it. In the most... I think Jesus tried to do it in sort of a not so public way, but John didn't let him off the hook, right? John's like, no, I'm recording this. Jesus said 3 times, feed my sheep.
I know.
And
exactly.
And it was in. And so
and I mean you read the book of 1st and 2nd Peter and he's got it. Like suffering for Jesus. Right. Like it's amazing.
I mean Acts.
Right?
They get the Holy Spirit and then all of a sudden you've got Peter who's, true to form, quick to open mouth and speak, but this time instead of inserting his foot, it's like Holy a sermon Spirit, that changes the world.
I know.
And so it's an incredible account, right?
So encouraging, I think, like challenging to us. We all should reflect like they did when Jesus asked, or when Jesus said there's a betrayer amongst us. They all said, who, me? Like we need to reflect. But also encouraging because these guys who failed so miserably, Peter, who failed
Yeah.
so miserably, was reinstituted in the person on whom Jesus built the church, right? Like, so it's awesome.
Well, and I think that sense of they all took that pause and reflected, could it be me, is something probably we need to do more of as followers of Jesus, right? Like we're pretty quick to adopt the pride of Peter in that we're like, not gonna be me, and miss the fact that actually it could be.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like we all could have been Judas, maybe, but what I mean is there little ways in our lives today that we deny Jesus or even go further and even betray him, that we just sort of are blind to, right?
Yep.
And we don't take that moment and go, oh,
Yeah.
like what is within me?
And to do that is not just looking at what we do and say, but what's in our heart, because that's what Jesus was telling Peter. It's, you got to die to yourself. You got to die to your pride. He was willing to stand with his sword, but to die to himself.
Right.
I think that's what we need to be challenged to do is look inside. Like, why am I doing this? In what ways am I doing this for me?
Yeah.
For Jesus? Those are hard questions.
Well, and when we are living for self, and we sometimes, I think even our walk, like we walk that line, right, where is it for self, is it for Jesus? And that can be kind of blurry.
Yeah.
But when it is for self, and it's all about whether it's our ego, our pride, our comfort, our sense of accomplishment, whatever it is, if it's not all about Jesus, then it is that another form of denial in the way we're living.
Yeah.
And so, but we sometimes don't have good clarity on what our true motives are. And or our pride has convinced us it's entirely altruistic, and not that we would spend all morning just kind of beating up on ourselves, but it was a passage that lent us towards pausing and reflecting. And I think, church, that's what we encourage you to do more of this week, is just go, okay, what are my motives here?
And prayerfully, because we don't, like you just said.
What does it mean? Like in conversation with the Holy Spirit, right?
Exactly.
What are my motives here? Like, what are my motives for chatting with my neighbor? What are my motives for building a friend with my relationship with my kids in school? And we sometimes, I think, even go, it's to make followers of Jesus. Good motive, but is that about what's really behind that? I guess is the question we sometimes need to do a little more asking.
Yeah, like for me, when you talk about chatting for your neighbors, I grew up with, you need to share your faith, you need to share your faith. And so my neighbors have become a project.
Right.
Instead, do I love them? Do I really care about them? Am I asking them questions that, because that's what Jesus would do. Yeah. And in that context, when we find out what they struggle with, I'll pray for you, or and we don't have to come out and there might be a place for that, but most of the time it's a relationship, right? Right.
Well, if you have the world's best cookie recipe, what do you do with it? Do you hold it to yourself and be like, I'm going to be the guy with the world's best? Or do you share it? Do you share the cookies with your neighbors? Do you share the recipe with others? And not to pick on fishermen, but to pick on fishermen, right? There's if you find the world's best fishing hole,
you hide it. Yeah.
You hide it. But it's like, no, we found Jesus. We found the best thing in the world. It should be, and there's again a should, it's a motive question. It should be the thing we want to share with others because of the joy of life with Jesus.
And the difference is there's not a limited amount of fish.
Fair enough. Every analogy breaks down at one point. However, that's the question. I think is what's our motive? Is it because we want to, do we think our eternity depends on how many souls we save, or is it just really we found the best thing in the world and we want everyone to know it? Yeah,
and we care about you. I love you, so I want try this cookie.
Exactly.
Maybe not give the recipe right away because they don't have any context for it. So try the cookie. Bless them. Bless them, and then eventually they'll be like, "Oh, I want the recipe." Yeah. Let me tell you about Jesus.
Well, and plus, they might not know how to bake.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
let's be honest. Like,
Yeah.
you know, not everybody enjoys that. They just want the cookies, and so we
Yeah.
offer what is actually going to meet people with where they're at.
That's what Jesus did. Yeah. Yeah.
So you offer the cookie. Would you like the recipe? Would you like to know more? Would you like to go deeper with this? Would you like to be able to make these cookies for your neighbor? Right? And and you're kind of getting a
Pretty good
sense of
analogy,
where we're
Chris.
going.
Yeah.
I guess if you know, whatever. Anyway, I was trying to think of some clever pun to keep it going. Nonetheless, that's kind of where we're at this week, church, and inviting you again just to into that place of reflection. Reflection. Reflecting. That's not a word. Reflection. You know, where have I played the betrayer, or you know, is there ways in my life that I'm tempted to deny, and what really are my motives? And those are some three big, heavy questions that if we're simply reflecting on alone, we might be we might be prone to lying to ourselves. But to ask them in concert with the Holy Spirit and trust in
And
other
community.
believers.
Yeah.
That's exactly where I was going, right?
Yep.
In community, maybe even in counseling, right? If that's where, you know, helpful for a lot of people. And so
For sure.
that's just what we wanted to encourage. Sounds like the wrong word, but it is what we want to encourage us with, to be reflecting this week.
Yeah.
What
Challenge
else?
and encourage.
Challenge and encourage, right? And something coming up that we're looking forward to this weekend is May Camp.
Yeah.
For those of you who you might have heard the term but not totally familiar, it is a long weekend away with our youth and youth from around the province. We have 200, we had 4 new ones sign up today. We're at 213. 213 people are going to be at Green Bay.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that the funnest challenge of all, this was my work earlier this week, is trying to get everybody assigned to a room in a way that makes sense, so that the people who need lodge beds have lodge beds, and those who can be out in cabins have cabin beds, and it's awesome.
I thought you were working on the puzzle, you know, when I peeked in and all these pieces all over the floor, but
it feels like it. I was
okay.
this close to bringing in a whole bunch of whiteboards and markers and just drawing on the windows like, you know, beautiful mind style.
The reason we're laughing about this is because Chris is in charge of putting everybody in the different locations this year.
It's like, I like puzzles, you know, and that, you know, you get those wooden puzzles and you're like, oh, we've got these many pieces, and how do you fit it in the grid? That's what it feels like. I almost had to saw a kid in half. No, of course not. But so, anyways, it's going to be a really fun weekend. It's always a spiritually challenging weekend, and for those of us youth leaders who are getting older, it's almost like an endurance sport. It feels like, you know, I'm on sabbatical because I need 2 months to recover from May Camp. No, not quite. But it's just one of those things where a lot of really awesome stuff can happen in the life of a teenager.
It's tiring, but it's fun, right?
It's tiring, but it's fun, and most of all, it is good.
Yeah, it's good.
It is good.
Better word,
And so which I think just encompasses all the mixed emotions and mixed feelings. But it's such a beautiful thing, and it's an opportunity to grow deeper personally in my faith, but also in relationship with our youth and our youth leaders. And so we're going to ask you that you just be praying for us. Not that I would survive it; that's just a given. But that people would grow closer to Jesus this weekend through the worship, through the relationships that we build, and through the message that'll be shared. And so we ask for that. But as easy as it would be to be all about May Camp, there's more going on than just that.
There is,
right? Yep. We've got a ladies event coming up June 2. And
evening,
I know that June's not really on my radar very much, but if you've been through the building, you will have seen posters for that June 2. I think it's $5. You need to sign up in advance so they can have. It's International Food Night.
Oh, it sounds so good,
doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
I'm also jealous that I'm not going to be around June 3rd for leftovers.
Oh,
right.
I might get some leftovers. I'm excited.
I hope you do. Wink, wink.
I think the best foods are international foods. They're just so good. But
well, when you think of like Canadian foods, it's usually stuff that will lead to heart disease, right? It's like
North
poutine,
American foods,
gravy, like fried foods, and it's like, But anyways, it's going to be great. And Jeff, I'm hearing about picnics in the park in June 2. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So last year we invited people to come after the service, the Sunday morning service. Just come down to the Nut Farm. I don't even know the address of that, but if you look up Nut Farm,
Gallatley Nut Farm.
Gallatley Nut Farm, that's it.
Yeah.
Most of you probably know.
You take a turn off of a road, and it's the problem with people who live in areas.
Maybe look it up on Google Maps.
Yeah, that's right.
And we're going to meet down there. Bring your lawn chair, bring your lunch, and we just come down and we hang out together. We had 9 Square a couple times last year. We played catch with the baseball. We hung around, just sat around and chatted. Sometimes people went out in the water. So the first one will be at the Galatli Nut Farm. We'll just tell you the first Sunday in June, after the service, probably around 12:30, we could get down there, and start gathering our chairs and everything. If you get there a little earlier, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Some of us might be hanging around a little bit to make sure we lock the building before we go. But you will be on sabbatical, but Kevin and I and our families. But we're excited about that. So what is the first Sunday in June? Whatever it would be, the 4th.
Is it the 4th?
Yeah, because the 2nd is a Friday. So, and then we'll do that every Sunday in June. So if you miss one, you can catch the next one. So,
as I recall from last year, people do start showing up whenever.
Yeah.
Like we say, like 12:30 is official start time. I think 12 is what Kevin was talking about earlier.
I think
some people show up earlier, some show up later.
Yeah.
It's just come.
Yeah, just come. Yeah.
Depending on how much time you need to get ready after the service to get down there.
Some people went and picked up some takeout, and some people might have even went and ate and then came.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people packed.
It's
just
super
whatever.
casual, and if you want to bring friends, this is not just a only for Lakeview thing.
Yeah.
It's like, bring your neighbor if you just want to hang out with someone more.
Picnic,
just bring whoever.
Yeah, and baseball mitt or frisbee or whatever. It's a lot of fun. So I think that's all we need to tell everybody for now.
That's not nothing.
Quite a bit.
It's a good bit. Anyways, thanks for spending some time with us. We hope to see you Sunday. If not, we'll see you real soon.